Hello, I'm Brian Fitzgerald, the Golf Doctor, and today we're going to look at golf's biggest gripping mistakes. So if this is your first time to this channel, welcome. This channel is all about helping you play better golf and lowering your golf score. If you like the video, give me the thumbs up, leave a comment, and consider subscribing. That way you're notified of every golf tip as I release them every week. So as I said, today we're going to look at golf's biggest gripping mistakes. And we're going to start out with the first one. I'm right-handed, so I'm speaking right-handed, and the majority of golfers that I see have their left hand placed on the club in what I'm going to call too strong a position. So what I mean by being too strong is that the left hand is turned on top of the club too much. So what I notice with a lot of people as I see them is they're looking at least 3 knuckles on their left hand. Now, a good way of checking is if I grip with that 3 knuckles on the left hand and I get a golf tee and I put that golf tee in there, my golf tee is pointing over in this direction. If I can make my grip neutral, which is what I prefer, now I can only see 2 knuckles from this view. If I put that tee in there, my tee is pointing straight in front of me. That's a really good way of checking whether your grip is too strong or not. Now, there are times when I'm teaching people that I do recommend that they do strengthen that left hand. So I'm just talking generally speaking. I don't encourage it. So for specific people, I do, and I certainly do that. And many of you have had lessons from me and you'll know that I do that. But just as a general rule, we want to keep that grip as neutral as we possibly can. So by putting that thumb straight down the shaft like that, we then have 2 knuckles. As I look down on it there, that gives me the best chance of forming a good grip. So while we're on the subject of the left hand, the other problem I see a lot of people doing is that they grip too much in the palm of the hand. So if you think about that lifeline, they almost rest the club across the lifeline. I much prefer to think of if I had a black dot on that pad there and a black dot back there, that's where it should be. So as I grip the club from this point of view here, I don't want to grip it in the lifeline like so. It's probably easier if I stand this way. So I don't want to grip in there. I want to grip it more across that to there. Then my thumb goes on, and from there I can see my 2 knuckles. So of course the other gripping mistake I see is that people grip too long on the club. They actually grip the club in such a way that the heel of my left hand the club is in there. What we want is this little white line around the grip there. I want the heel of my left hand, this part here, to be below that line. If I grip it in there, I'm going to lose a lot of control. I'm also going to get a big blister. Now there's a great way to check if that's what you do. So if I go and get a glove, I don't wear a glove, this isn't my glove. This is just one that I've found. So you can see here, clearly there is a telltale wear mark. So if I pop that on, that wear mark there is matching the wear mark in the glove. So where I grip that is going to wear a big hole in that glove. So just think, a glove isn't really going to help you to grip the club better. If it was, you would have one on each hand. You're wearing a glove because it's a band-aid, and it's better to wear through the glove than it is to wear through your skin and get a blister. So just be mindful of when you grip the club, you want the heel of that left hand down below that line. We want to see 2 knuckles on that, and we get our grip, and that's just getting our grip in shape. So of course the other mistake I see people make is they get the pressure wrong, and there's a lot of talk about pressure, holding a baby chicken, letting it breathe but not letting it go, tube of toothpaste. I've used that in the past. I've sort of changed the way I think about the grip these days. I like to think I want enough pressure in my hands to be secure. I don't want it to be loose and flopping about. So I think a 4 out of 10 for grip tightness is good. How I achieve a 4 out of 10 is if I can make a vertical circle on my club. My hands aren't flapping about. They've got good control over the club. I can go that way. But if I grip it tight, I'm trying to make that vertical circle, and all I can do is that. If I just relax, we don't want to let the club come out of our hands. And if you can do that, you're going to be around about 4 out of 10. So the problem is people grip too loose at the start of the swing. And then they get up here and they tighten it going back. They get up here and they're loose again. So they go loose, tight, loose, and the last 3 fingers sort of have a lot of tension in there, and the heel comes off the hand. Then they start down and it goes back to tight again. And as soon as that left hand tightens a lot in that section, it's going to be very difficult to square that club face up, and more than likely the ball is going to go out to the right. So they start off and they go loose, tight, loose, tight, tight. I think it's much, much better to try and just keep it a constant pressure. Due to the forces at play when you swing the golf club, as you come down, it's natural that your hands are going to be a bit tighter because the club weighs more. We're creating force and power, so it's okay to increase the grip tension a little bit, but it's got to be with the correct hand. I'm right-handed. My right hand is my strongest hand. My right hand is in the position on the club where there is the most leverage. I want my right hand delivering the club through impact. So it's okay if my right hand delivers. Now, of the 5 digits that are on my right hand, these 2 here are the strongest. If I was going to open a drink bottle, I would be doing it with those 2. So if I don't use those 2, I'm limiting my power. So I think it's okay to be slightly tighter in those 2 than anywhere else. When I was younger, I was fortunate enough to be at Royal Melbourne watching Seve Ballesteros play in the Australian PGA. This is back in the late 70s, and I asked him a question on the practice fairway, which hand he was using, and he said, I'm right-handed. My right hand is where my feel is. It's where the magic happens, in his Spanish accent. I'm not even going to attempt that. But he told me that the thumb and the pointer finger were vital in him, and he's one of the greatest shot makers ever. So as far as I'm concerned, if it was good enough for Seve, it's good enough for us. So just keep it light. 4 out of 10, constant all the way through, a little bit firmer through the right hand through impact, and I think you're going to find you're going to get a better result. Okay, so this next gripping mistake I see is for those of you that use the Varden or the overlapping grip, and I've mentioned this a lot before, but I'll repeat it here again. When I take my grip here, I want, well, a lot of people put this little finger here in this gap created between my pointer finger and my middle finger. And it feels fantastic. It feels strong. But as my golf coach, Alex Mercer, said to me when I was younger, son, if it feels strong, it's wrong. And he was right. So what I recommend is that we put that little pointer finger of our right hand over the top of that finger right there. And by doing that, it frees up a lot of the tension in the middle part of my hands, and it gives me greater control. It's lighter. We're not building that awful tension and creating too much tension as we spoke about before. It's just a much better way of doing it. So as I said, Alex told me to do this back in the, would have been late 70s, very early 80s, and I've been using it ever since. For some reason, not many other people teach it. I don't know why. It's a fantastic way, but it really works well. Give it a go. So the next gripping mistake I see is that people grip the club in the wrong part of the right hand. So the golf grip tapers down, it's thick at the top and it's thin at the bottom. It's designed to be gripped in different parts. We've already discussed what we do with the left hand, but in the right hand, we don't want to grip the club across the calluses there. I really want the club to be in the middle joint of my right hand in those 2 middle fingers there. So you can see there. So when I take my grip, it's in there, I get my hand on top, and that's what the grip looks like to me from there. my hand is in a neutral position, my right hand is in a neutral position, I'm free to release the club. If I have it back more in the palm of the hand, it's going to be really easy for me to close down the club face through impact, which is going to make me hit it left. If I start hitting it left all the time, it's a matter of time before the brain adjusts and says, okay, I'm going to block through impact, then I start hitting it right. So I like to be able to use my hands. That's where the magic is, as Sevi told me. So I want that grip more in the middle joint of those fingers. That helps me to control the club face better, because the better the control we have of the club face, the better the golf shots we're going to hit. Okay, this is probably the most common thing I see with people, no matter what sort of golf grip you use. They bunch up the bottom hand. So, as I said, I'm right-handed, and when they bunch the bottom hand up, there's no gap at all in there. So, if you suffer from a hook, particularly with those longer clubs, this could very well be one of the reasons. So by bunching the club up, it's very easy to close the club face through impact and it's going left. What I much prefer is to have a little gap in here. It's called a trigger finger. So you can see there, if I take my grip, there is a gap in there. It's about 1 pointer finger gap in between it. And if you look at most good players, what they do with their grip is they have that gap. If I start getting that finger down there, you will notice that my top of my thumb is protruding above that finger. What I want to see is that the top of the thumb and that pointer finger should be level. If I go up to that white line there, that should almost be both touching the line. If I get that gap in there, you can see the big difference between that there. That's really going to help me to hit it hook. I can slice it from there as well, but you won't really have a lot of control over the golf club. So just try and get that 1 finger gap in there, little trigger finger, and I think you'll find you get a lot more consistency in your golf. So they're my biggest gripping mistakes. Which ones do you suffer from? Have I mentioned a couple there that you didn't even know existed? I'd love to know. Leave a comment down below. Thank you for letting me help you with your golf. I'm Brian Fitzgerald, the Golf Doctor, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.